In this video, I'll be showing you how to make a new rainbow loom bracelet that I'm calling the Quick Change Bracelet. So you want to have your loom set up in a staggered pattern where the pins are not in line with one another and they make a V shape at the end. And you want to have the arrows facing towards you so that the open end of the pins are facing you. And you can choose as many colors as you like. I have chosen 4 colors. I have red and white and green and black. So we're going to be starting on this bottom row of pins. If you count in 4 pins from the left side of your loom and picture this as the center point, we're going to be working with these 5 pins right here. If you picture this as the center, this would be like a half circle. That's what we're going to be working with. So I'm going to take our first color, which I have red. I'm going to start on that 4th pin in, and I'm going to place the band to the pin to the left. And now from here, I'm always going to be using this as my center point. I'm going to be going up and diagonally to the left. And then from here, I'm going to go up and diagonally to the right. And then finally, I'm starting at that center pin and going to the right. So you can see, starting from using this as the center pin, we made like a half circle shape. And now I'm going to switch to my next color, which I have white. Again, I'm going to be doing this same pattern. I'll be starting on this center pin and moving to the pin to the left. And then from here, I'm going to go diagonally to the left. And then I'm going to go up and diagonally to the right, and then finally to the right. And so at this point, I've put 2 layers on, and as you can see, this center pin gets pretty full. Right now it has 8 bands on. So what I'm going to do now is remove the bottom layer. So from this center pin, I want to remove the bottom 4 bands, because I've done 4 bands of red. So I'm just going to be removing all 4 of the red. Sometimes they're a little hard to separate since it's pretty full. And then from here, I'm just going to work my way around this half circle and remove the bottom red band. And then I want to push all of this down. And then I'm going to add my next color, which I have green. Again, I'm working from this center point. I'm just going to work my way around. I always want to keep pushing it down. And then once again, I'm going to remove that bottom layer. So from this center pin, I'll have 4 white bands to remove. As I said, sometimes it's a little hard to get them separated. If you get 2 bands at once, that's okay. Like right now I have 2 white bands. As long as you get all of that bottom color off. And then I'm just going to work my way around, removing that bottom color, which I have white. And then back to the start. And then once again, I'm going to push all of this down, especially that center pin. And now I'm going to do my last color, which is black. Again, everything is starting on this center pin. And then once again, I'm going to be removing the bottom layer. So this time I have 4 green that I want to take off this center pin. So I'm going to be grabbing more than 1 here. I have 2 green that I moved over the top, and I'm just going to grab the other 2 green. And then I'm just going to work my way around, These are much easier to grab because there's only 2 bands on each pin. And then I'm going to again push all of this down. Now as you can see, your bracelet is going to grow and it's going to work its way down through this open space here. So now I'm going to go back to red again and just put these bands on. I'm always just keeping the same pattern. And now I need to remove that bottom layer. So I'll have 4 bands in the center pin, the black bands here. It doesn't really matter how many of them you grab at once as long as you get all 4 of them off. And then I'm just going to work my way around the outside. And then back to the start and push all of this down. So really that's all there is to it. Just keep changing colors. Always start on the center pin and move from the left and go around in a clockwise direction with your bands. And then remove that bottom layer. So I have 4 red in the center that I'm going to take off. Just grabbing 2 at once here. And now I have a single red band on all the rest. And then just keep pushing this down. As I said, it's just really important to push down, especially on the center pin that gets so full. So I will just continue in that same pattern, and when I get to a length where it's ready to take off, I will show you what to do next. When you have your bracelet to the length that you'd like it and you're ready to take it off the loom, you should have 1 band on each of these 4 pins in this half circle shape, and you should have 4 bands on this center pin. So what you're going to do is start on the pin to the left hand side on the bottom row, get that band on your hook and place it into that center band. And then you're just going to work your way around this half circle, taking that band and moving it into the center pin. Do the same thing for the next band. And then finally do the same thing again for the last band. And so now at this point you should have 8 bands all on this center pin. And all you're going to do is remove the bottom 6 bands. You want to take that bottom band and move it over the top, and then you'll take the second band and move it over, and you can push these down on the pin as you're doing it. And now we're going to take a 3rd band and then a 4th. Then we'll take a 5th band and finally a 6th band. So now you should have just 2 bands left on that pin, and we're going to take both of those bands on the hook, and then you can take your bracelet off. You can either pull it up through this open area, or you could take off this front row of pins if you find that easier to do. And then what you want to do is to take a clip. I have an S clip here, and I'm just going to place these 2 loose bands onto that clip. And then you want to take the other end, and you're going to have some pretty long bands on this end. So either you can take these bands, get them on your hook, and then hook this through, or if you think that they look too loose, you can always just take an extra little bit of time and just loop some through the other. Doesn't matter which ones, just loop them through one another so it looks a little bit tighter. And then you can take that and put it on the other end of your clip. And then here is your bracelet. So on the one side you have the chain link look with the horizontal stripes, and then on the flip side you have a thick fishtail, a single fishtail. Now I have another bracelet here that I made using this same pattern, but this one is thicker than the other one because what I did was, instead of putting 2 layers on and then taking the bottom layer off, I put 3 layers on and then took the bottom layer off. So that center pin that had 8 bands on at a time in this video actually had 12 bands on at a time when I made this bracelet. So it's definitely harder to work with because the pin is super full. But then here's what the other side looks like, and again it's that fishtail, but I don't know if you can tell as much from the video, but especially by feel, you can just feel how much thicker it is. And so those are the 2 bracelets, and hopefully you've enjoyed this video on the quick change bracelet. And as you can see, as I said before, these are showing a horizontal stripe. And in my next video, I'll show you how to make the quick change bracelet using vertical stripes.